Did you know? Orion Pax and D16 begin as inseparable allies driven by a shared dream for Cybertron's future. But as power, ideology, and ambition collide, their brotherhood shatters. Orion rises as Optimus Prime, the beacon of hope, while D16 becomes Megatron, the harbinger of war, turning friendship into a legendary battle that defines Cybertron's fate forever. Before we start, please subscribe to my channel for more amazing videos. The movie begins with a robot called Orion Pax, who is fated to evolve into Optimus Prime in the future. Orion sneaks into the library, avoiding traps, to explore another record regarding the history of his species. He discovers how his creator, Primus, gave himself up to create Cybertron, the planet where they reside. From the heart of Cybertron, Primus crafted the initial Transformers, referred to as the Primes, 13 formidable beings designed to lead subsequent generations. He bestowed upon them the Matrix of Leadership, a remarkably powerful object. With it, Energon, the essential energy source, flowed freely, sustaining life on the planet. Orion finds out how Cybertron enjoyed peace until the Matrix vanished, halting the flow of Energon. However, he becomes frustrated because he is aware that this tale concludes abruptly. A drone approaches, and Orion understands he is in a precarious situation. He bolts, but is apprehended by the guards, Darkwing, and his sibling. Despite pretending to be disoriented, they recognize his rebellious nature. They remind him that he was not meant to return to the library. Orion attempts to negotiate his escape by proposing a fictitious chase to distract them, and he successfully gets away. He flees through Econ, but the guards pursue him while flying. A companion intervenes and distracts the guards. It is the future Megatron, known as D16. Orion emerges from his hiding spot, and Megatron suspects he has been in the archives. He inquires whether risking his life for such ancient information is justifiable. And when Orion affirms, Megatron quips that he should seek a better best friend. Orion feels the answers to the Matrix's disappearance are within the old archives, but D16 cautions him that another party is already searching. Orion insists he is contributing, reminding him that the quicker they locate it, the less time they will spend searching for Energon. Orion senses he is destined for something greater than mining, and his friend encourages him to trust Sentinel Prime, Cybertron's leader and seeker of the Matrix. Ultimately, Orion gifts Megatron a Megatronus Prime sticker, symbolizing the most powerful Prime in history, a gesture that D16 values greatly. Later, they all proceed to a mining site to continue extracting Energon. However, an issue with the mineral's instability arises, necessitating immediate evacuation. One of their comrades, Jazz, becomes trapped, and Orion, along with others, stays behind to provide assistance. The circumstance escalates, but they astonishingly escape the tunnel. Following this, their supervisor, Elita, is dismissed for endangering the lives of bots who cannot transform. Overwhelmed with guilt, Orion attempts to reconcile with Darkwing, but D16 intervenes and takes a punch for him. Later, Megatron inquires if his friend is weary of being treated in this manner. Thanking him for his assistance, they observe a broadcast from Sentinel Prime, who reports returning unsuccessful from another Matrix search, but pledges to continue trying. He also announces that there will be no work the following day, so everyone can enjoy the ion race. D, feeling down, is aware they will still have to keep working in the mines, so Orion proposes that they enter the race, even if they don't triumph. They will demonstrate they are just as capable as the other Transformers, but D declines the suggestion, reminding Orion that they can't fly or transform. The next day, Pax leads his friend through restricted regions, securing them excellent views to watch the race. But Orion has different ideas and attaches a booster to D, determined to prove they are more than just miners. Sentinel Prime spots them in the race, and the miners feel thrilled to see them. They compete and advance by overcoming hurdles. But just as it appears they are on the brink of making history, a Transformer passes them, placing them in last position. Now they both find themselves in a predicament. D, enraged, blames Orion for what he was pushed to do, yet Orion reminds him that he felt exhilarated and that it was a one-of-a-kind experience. At that moment, Sentinel Prime arrives, stating that witnessing the miners' race was the most astonishing thing he has ever observed. He jokes about fearing retribution and reassures them that he respects bots with original ideas. He requests Arachne to escort them to his facilities to offer them improved job prospects. Astounded, they are taken by Darkwing, who informs them they will not encounter anyone else at their new location and secures them in the smelting area. Inside, they come across the only bot present, who, upon seeing real bots, is relieved he is not imagining things. He introduces himself as B, but is also known as B. He does not recall how long he has been confined on Sue level and talks incessantly, causing the protagonist to wish for an escape. D inquires about the exit, but B says that there isn't one. B elaborates that they have limited access, are resigned to their tasks, and are trapped there. He shows them how to handle the scrap and grows excited to learn all about them, disseminating information regarding himself. He introduces his friends made of junk, but just when they begin to think he is somewhat unhinged, Orion accidentally destroys Steve and discovers a chip with a distress message. Both friends recognize Alpha Trion, one of the primes. The message contains coordinates from where they battled the Tessan enemies who attacked Cybertron eons ago. Orion Pax speculates that the Matrix of Leadership might be located there. Despite the clue, D is unwilling to trust a message found in the refuse. He does not wish to keep proving they are more than minors, as that's how they happen to meet their intriguing new friend, B. He is not prepared to go to the surface and prefers to wait for Sentinel Prime to come for them, but Orion urges him to envision Sentinel's reaction if they locate the Matrix. D, swayed by the argument, consents to go up. He queries B about the route, and B responds that it will not be straightforward, as they must climb through the trash chute. The only path upward is via the Enon trains, and they resolve to sneak into the cargo. There, they encounter Elita, who has been reassigned to a different role. She becomes aware that someone has breached their defenses and swiftly neutralizes all three bots. As the train departs, the main characters pursue Ela to inform her of their finding, but she declines to hear them out. They discover an exit and must grip tightly to avoid plummeting into the abyss. The four bots are awestruck by the splendor of Cybertron's surface, coming to the realization that Sentinel has concealed several truths. Orion approaches Alita, asserting that he knows the location of the Matrix of Leadership. He presents to her their discovery and mentions that rather than reporting to Sentinel Prime, they opted to proceed directly to the coordinates. Although Alita denies their request for assistance, they observe that the planet's surface appears to be alive and encroaching upon them. They escape, but the entrance to the train closes, compelling them to hang on while the surface seemingly hinders the train from delivering the energon. The ground elevates, causing some carriages to detach, flinging the protagonists through the air. Once they regain their composure, they notice the train distancing itself, provoking Alita's anger, who holds Orion accountable for their predicament. In spite of her anger, she consents to lead them to the map coordinates, but cautions them that she'll report them if it proves to be futile. During the journey, she instructs B-127 to remain silent, yet he disobeys. Meanwhile, Orion and D-16, lagging behind, are thrilled by the chance of uncovering the Matrix and presenting it to Sentinel Prime. They encounter Cybertronian deer that suddenly bolt in fear. Warily, the bots sprint to an unoccupied base where they spot a quintesson ship hovering above, obliterating any traces of life. They successfully conceal themselves until the ship departs, perplexed because they believe the quintessons had been extinct for more than 50 cycles. The coordinates direct them to a chilling cave, where they discover the remains of the 13 fallen primes. The Matrix of Leadership is absent. They speculate on what transpired and conclude that the primes were ambushed. At that moment, a light leads Orion to Alpha Trion, the sole prime still possessing his spark. Upon activation, he cautions them about the quintesson ambush, the last vision he experienced before vanishing. They manage to soothe him and inform him that the war has concluded. Alpha Trion, gazing at his fallen allies, inquires about their identities and why they lack gears. D-16 responds that they are merely miners compelled to extract energon since it ceased to flow, and Alpha Trion listens with sorrow. When Orion states they are in search of the Matrix to present it to Sentinel, Alpha Trion interjects, asserting that Sentinel is not a prime. Taken aback, the bots consider him to be malfunctioning and aged, clarifying that Sentinel serves as Cybertron's guardian, saved them from the contestant, but Alpha Trion informs them they are living a deception. He asserts that he has witnessed the truth and proposes to reveal to them what transpired. He narrates that for thousands of cycles, the conflict against the contestant was fierce. He reenacts the moment where Sentinel, aide to the Primes, intercepted an enemy transmission regarding a clandestine quintesson commander meeting with the Primes. Believing that intelligence, they advanced courageously. However, upon reaching the cave to meet Sentinel, they were surprised by numerous foes. Despite uniting in combat and being on the verge of triumph, Sentinel betrayed them, exterminating the 13 Primes to seize control of Cybertron. At that instant, Sentinel seizes the matrix of leadership, yet this source of power can only be wielded by someone deemed deserving. Thus, the matrix diminishes before their gaze. Our heroes are in disbelief at the shocking news. They cannot comprehend the reasons behind Sentinel Prime's actions. And Alpha Trion clarifies that it was all intended to forge an alliance with the new rulers of Cybertron, the Quintessence. They observe as an increasing number of Quintessence ships float above the planet, and a massive structure descends onto the ground. The outpost where Sentinel Prime arrives with backup, only to bow before his adversaries. The Quintessence are collecting the tainted metal that Elita ships daily, but they soon come to the realization that they are actually taking their own species. D16 cannot refrain from exclaiming traitor towards the one he once revered, and Arachnid hears him. However, Sentinel Prime does not comply with the request for Energon. He explains that they are depleting their miners needed to extract the mineral and vows to locate more, commanding that no bot rests until the necessary quantity is accrued. After this discussion, both factions withdraw and our heroes confront the harrowing reality. Their idol is merely a traitor, misleading everyone while securing his power at the expense of others. D16 holds his best friend accountable, who has pulled them from ignorance to confront a distressing truth. He worries about what Sentinel might do if he learns they are aware of his treachery, while Orion ponders their next course of action. D16 feels that Orion is solely focused on himself and blames him for their state of powerlessness. Unlike Orion, D16 desires not to capture Sentinel, but to destroy him to witness his pain, sentencing him to labor in the mines until he disintegrates. He reminds Orion that they are bots without gears, incapable of transformation, and if options were limited before, they are now non-existent. Alpha Trion steps in, disclosing that on Cybertron, no one is born without gears. It was Sentinel Prime who designed them, stripping away their ability to compel them into mining to satisfy the Quintessence Energon needs. Nevertheless, Alpha Trion reassures them that a Transformer's essence lies not in the gears, but in the spark of their core, which ignites the desire to improve the world. His fellow Primes possessed that spark, and he perceives it in their heroes as well. With this, Alpha Trion retrieves the gears from 4 deceased Primes and presents them to the heroes, transforming them into true Transformers. United as one, he grants them not only the capability to transform, but also the strength to alter the world. However, it is their responsibility to choose how to wield that power. This monumental moment is interrupted when a mild tremor signals that they have been discovered. D16 is prepared to battle, but Alpha Trion advises them that they must return to Cybertron and alert everyone about the grim reality utilizing the records he has compiled. He informs them of their destination. Orion resists leaving him, but the formidable Prime tells him that every Transformer possesses a destiny, and this conflict is his alone, while they bear the responsibility for Cybertron's future. Sentinel Prime's forces begin to collapse part of the cave and demand the Elder to yield. However, Alpha Trion quickly retaliates and assaults his foes mercilessly. The bots come to understand that they can cease their flight and finally transform. But just as they are on the verge of doing so, the ground gives way beneath them, causing them to slide down a slope. They are constantly being chased and acknowledge their lack of knowledge regarding their gears. Orion is the first one to attempt transforming, but he only succeeds in concealing his head and running aimlessly. D16's legs malfunction. Elita finds it challenging to regulate her functions, and B converts into a vehicle with legs. Just when they seem on the brink of capture, their instincts take over, and with impeccable timing, they transform. Although it isn't perfect, they are ecstatic to finally achieve what they have always wished to accomplish. Orion remembers their objective and retrieves the map, but D16 snatches it from him, now displaying a dominant and controlling demeanor towards his closest friend. He instructs everyone to follow him. In the meantime, Alpha Trion is presented before Sentinel. Sentinel welcomes him warmly, stating that he recognized the opportunity to seize his own future and cease serving a greater authority. Old-timers who were bound to lose the battle and compose verses about loyalty and honor in warfare. Straightforwardly, Sentinel inquires about who else was present in the cave with Alpha Trion. The Prime merely cautions him that it is only a matter of time until he meets his downfall. Those are his final remarks. Sentinel subsequently commands Arachnid to go after the others. Meanwhile, Orion and his group continue to approach their goal. During the journey, Orion observes that D-16 has been unusually silent and asks for an explanation. D-16 replies that he cannot stop contemplating Sentinel's treachery. He is resolute in his intention to make him pay and eliminate him. He can't comprehend why Orion believes that exposing the truth will suffice to bring Sentinel down, given that he is worshipped and respected by all. Yet, Orion insists on pursuing a non-violent resolution, trusting that others will recognize the truth when they witness it. D-16 erupts, asserting that he will never again trust any leader. At that very moment, they find themselves ambushed and subdued. Upon waking, they discover they are surrounded by troops and taken to a hideout. However, they quickly understand these aren't Sentinel's forces. Instead, they are a different group of Transformers, ones who will later become the Decepticons. The leader, Starscream, inquires whether they are spies or subordinates. They refute this claim, and their assertion is confirmed. Meanwhile, B-127 is silenced, unable to speak. Unconscious, Ela anxiously questions who they truly are, as these Transformers appear ready to pursue Sentinel. That's when B, having managed to free himself, excitedly discloses that they are in the presence of the legendary Defenders of Ion, the most renowned warriors in Cybertron's history. He identifies them as Starscream, Shockwave, and Soundwave. Starscream, with a blend of pride and resentment, verifies the little yellow Transformers' statement. He elaborates that in their prime, they served as Cybertron's elite guard, direct witnesses to Sentinel Prime's treachery. Since that time, they have been operating from the shadows, striving to weaken and undermine the tyrant leader who seized control. Orion, spotting an opportunity, views this group as ideal allies for his mission. Urging everyone to settle down, he proposes they unite and return to Aiken to confront and defeat Sentinel Prime. However, Starscream quickly dampens his enthusiasm, reminding him that a unified Cybertron is nothing more than a dream. According to him, on their planet, the only truth is the law of the strongest. The dominance one bot exerts over another is what genuinely counts. As their exchange, the leader observes that D-16 is beginning to distance himself from the group. He refuses to hide with them in a damaged ship, dismissing the notion of achieving minor victories through secrecy and passive resistance. Convinced he must take immediate action, D-16 proclaims he intends to pursue Sentinel alone, resolved to make him answer for his betrayal without further delay. Starscream, irritated by his boldness, rises and warns him that no one departs without his consent, reminding him that he lacks the authority to challenge his leadership within his domain. But rather than backing down, D-16 retaliates with a direct strike, initiating a fierce confrontation. The battle between the two bots is fierce. Seasoned warriors watching the scene cheer for D-16, urging him to triumph. Just as the fight appears to be swaying in his favor, a formidable cannon emerges from his arm, silencing the cave completely. D-16 pauses briefly to admire his new weapon, while Starscream, in an unexpected twist, finds himself begging for his life. Orion Pax, unable to tolerate what he's witnessing, begs his friend to think again, reminding him that his true foe isn't right in front of him. However, D-16, consumed with vengeance, turns to everyone there and cautions them that they are witnessing the conclusion of his compassion. He issues an ultimatum. They can either stay concealed under Starscream's cowardly rule or unite with him in annihilating Sentinel once and for all. His challenge resonates, and the soldiers swiftly transfer their allegiance to D-16. In that precise moment, Orion realizes his closest friend has crossed a boundary, transforming into something far darker and more perilous. Abruptly, alarms begin to blare. Sentinel's forces swoop down from above, poised to ambush the group. Without hesitation, Orion transforms and, alongside B, charges into the fray, taking down as many adversaries as they can. In the meantime, Starscream lurks, while Arachnid, her catastrophic abilities enter the battle, effortlessly dispatching numerous fighters and quickly removing D-16. In a deadly maneuver, Elita excels in the skirmish, maneuvering with elegance and proficiency. However, in a moment of distraction, she fails to realize she's in the path of an impending strike. In a brave gesture, Orion intervenes, protecting her from the blow that results in him being trapped beneath a heap of rubble. Soon after, we learn that not only was D-16 captured, but also B. Once released, Ella informs Orion that Sentinel's subordinates have seized their allies and the elite soldiers. Furthermore, the vital evidence they sought has been obliterated. Our main character starts to contemplate that the ignorance they experienced might have been better than the turmoil brought about by attempting to rescue everyone from a deception. He feels he should have adhered to the procedure. However, Ela reminds him that while she surpasses him in numerous ways, his distinct quality is his hope. He was the one who remained to locate Jez in the mine, and the sole bot with the independence to seek the matrix of leadership. She emphasizes that his unwavering optimism propels him to make courageous choices, motivating others and envisioning a future that no one else perceives. If they intend to reclaim their friends, they are going to require that vision. Orion Pax, reassured once more, believes they can succeed. They formulate a strategy to infiltrate Akon, where the army remains stationed. Although the soldiers are reluctant, believing they require additional reinforcements, Orion and Elida have already resolved those concerns, and it's time to advance. Meanwhile, B cannot comprehend why they are still alive. Sentinel Prime arrives, ridiculing the pitiful tale of D-16, yet D-16 counters him by stating that the genuine traitor is him. Sentinel, in a mocking manner, proposes that they might even be superior traitors, since he intends to accuse them of undermining his missions with the Kaon to prevent him from locating the matrix of leadership. According to him, in Akon, the truth is whatever he claims it to be. Suddenly, D-16 rises, refusing to bow. He's unafraid because he has already lost everything. He strikes Sentinel, tearing off the emblem of Megatron Prime, deriding his reverence for the most powerful of the 13. He points out that Sentinel took his gears and retained them as punishment. Sentinel brands the symbol of Megatronus on D-16's chest. Simultaneously, Orion Pax is gathering his new forces. The miners, exhausted from enforced labor, begin to complain and notice Darkwings soaring away. Observing the enhancements on Orion, he unveils the reality about Sentinel Prime. He seized their gears to convert them into miners. He extends an invitation for them to join his fight against Sentinel immediately. Quoting Alpha Trion, he asserts that what characterizes a transformer isn't their gears, but the spark within their core, able to change the world. These statements convince them they can create their own fate, standing up for justice, united as one. Orion informs Elita that it's time to take action as the Akon train races towards the city. Meanwhile, D-16 is on the verge of being executed when Arachnid spots the train and raises the alarm, commanding Sentinel's protection. Sentinel's troops launch into battle, and the elite guard prepares for a pivotal confrontation. Nevertheless, Elita realizes they cannot reach the main building by themselves. That's when the minor units, now directed by Orion, come to assist them. Amidst the fierce conflict, Arachnid traps Pax against the train, but has to escape, as it's on the verge of a crash. Sentinel is struck by it, and all of Akon watches the pandemonium. With his mask and swords, B joins the fray. When Orion inquires about Sentinel, an explosion hurls him and D-16 into the wreckage. Everyone braces for a confrontation with Sentinel to enact justice, but he counters with projectiles compelling them to retreat momentarily. Then Orion clarifies that they require Arachnid's memory, who suddenly emerges, abducting Elita. Orion instructs B to capture Arachnid alive and bring her to the transmission station, leading to a brutal confrontation. She vows to treat Elita kindly while assaulting her. Orion and B speed off to locate Elita, while D-16 confronts Sentinel. The traitor enjoys a significant advantage, and B makes a dramatic entrance, although he is unaware he has destroyed the hero's office. Orion seizes the moment to transmit Sentinel Prime's true identity to the entire city, distracting him from delivering a fatal blow to D-16. All of Akon is shocked, witnessing their leader kneeling before the competitors. The Transformers become furious, and D-16 catches Sentinel off guard, causing both to plunge into the abyss. After regaining stability, injured from the drop, D-16 employs his cannon and unintentionally demolishes a building. Sentinel attempts to convince him to jointly rule Cybertron, but as he prepares to eliminate him, Orion intervenes and points out that their objective has already been met. The truth is now public, and Akon can begin rebuilding without an execution. D16, on the other hand, is certain that Sentinel must perish and threatens to harm Orion if he doesn't move aside. Although D16 succeeds in getting rid of Orion when he shoots at a damaged Sentinel, Pax steps in and takes the hit. His friend stops him from tumbling off the building, but D16's anger overtakes him. Consumed by hatred, his eyes glow red. He proclaims he is done rescuing Orion and allows him to fall into the abyss. D16 hastily charges toward Sentinel, overpowering the guards, while Orion Pax descends into the heart of Primus. D16, having eliminated Sentinel and stripped Megatronus gears, concludes the reign of the Primes and the False Prophets. In the meantime, Orion Pax is honored with the Matrix of Leadership for his courageous sacrifice. As D16 swaps his gears with Megatronus, Orion activates the Matrix, which illuminates and regenerates his arm. D16 now refers to himself as Megatron, and the 13 celebrate the rebirth of Optimus Prime, elevating him to where chaos prevails. Ella and B attempt to halt the unyielding Megatron, but suddenly, Optimus Prime materializes again. His old companion realizes he now possesses the Matrix. Despite his actions, Optimus proposes they reconstruct the future together, but Megatron declines and warns that he will annihilate anyone who disobeys him. The two allies confront each other in an epic Transformers clash until Megatron is repelled by Optimus Prime's defense. Now, Optimus battles against all who oppose him. After defeating the enemy, Optimus reminds Megatron that they had a chance to transform the world, but he opted to destroy it, just as Sentinel did. Megatron is branded a traitor to Cybertron, and Optimus rebukes him for his personal betrayal, insisting that he depart and take his elite guard with him, exiling him from Akon. Before departing, Megatron cautions that this conflict is not over. Lastly, Optimus contemplates the slim distinction between friends and foes, certain that once one steps into evil, there's no return, as some transformations are irreversible. He recalls the day he met his best friend and now watches him go. Cybertron prepares for a new beginning under different leadership. The Matrix of Leadership rejuvenates the planet's energy flow, and all the Transformers confront a common fate: the ability to transform into something improved. Because freedom and independence are fundamental rights of sentient beings, they are given new gears, and it is announced that everyone is now Autobots. A message is conveyed to their adversaries. Should they choose to return, all the Transformers and Optimus Prime will be prepared and on guard. If you enjoyed this breakdown, like, share, and subscribe for more epic movie explainers. Stay tuned for the next adventure.